Hey everybody, this is Captain Fool reporting for duty, giving you my weekly comic book review. So sit back and enjoy. Alright everybody, for those of you that know the drill, I go over a bunch of comic books for the week that I chose to read. Now I didn't have time to read everything, so if I missed something you think I should have read, let me know in the comments below. Also, you may disagree with me on some of my choices. If that's the case, that's alright. Let me know below. Let's just try to keep it civil. My goal is to bring back the old school yard days, where we would be in discussing what hero could beat who or what comic book was good and not. And I come armed with my trusty notes, so you'll hear the paper rattle because I do it a little bit old school. I do my grading on a scale of 0 through 10, 7 being average as a 70%. So I'm using schoolyard grading. But that's not all. I also use the League of Comics Geeks to give you other people's views as well as a brief overview of the comic book as well. So let's jump right in. Hey friends, welcome to the weekly comic book review. Thanks for everybody that's continued to join us, and anybody else if this is your first time, welcome to the channel. Please be sure to leave your thoughts on the comic books below, but just keep this in mind. Take it as this, like you're walking into a comic shop and you're sharing your thoughts with others. So in other words, we don't, normally you don't sit there and call somebody rude names and things because of a disagreement with the comic books. You just tell them why you disagree, and we are actually humane with one another. Who would have thought that's possible, right? Boy, this week we do have some little bit hypercharged things here, so that's just a warning ahead of time. Let's start first with the Ultimates number 9. League of Comics Geeks gave it a 4.5, said it was exceptional with 667 ratings. So a good chunk of people are still reading this book, and I have to admit, I was really jived and jazzed up for this right off the bat when I seen the cover. It's like, oh my goodness, is that Luke Cage? So I gave this book a 7.7, just so you know. Yeah, I sure did. Anyway, the writer's Dead's Camp, artist is Chris Allen, and Luke Cage in the Ultimate Prison Breaks is here. Stormbreaker and innovative artist Chris Allen joins Den's Camp to bring us the history and the future of Luke Cage. Yes, we finally get Ultimate Luke Cage. Spider-Man isn't the only success story of the Ultimates 1.0. Meet the man who has been quietly sabotaging the Maker's Council from anywhere, believe it or not, behind bars. Yes, we get an Ultimate Luke Cage, and anybody knows me, I am a huge Luke Cage fan, so I was like, yeah, break it out! Woo, yeah. So anyway, that was cool here, and this really was an interesting way to introduce Power Man. I love how they introduced the name Power Man in there too. We also have a Danny Rand introduction, but that's where one of my negatives of this book is. They really gave him a lackluster introduction. I mean, he's in the prison too. I know this is an Ultimate take, so we got some different things there, but I thought this was a miss for how they introduced Danny Rand. But we got to get more of these two buddies together in this. An Ultimate team up with those two I think would be awesome. It's a decent origin story, and how will it impact the whole story though? That's what I'm interested to see how it continues going. And it has okay art. So as I said, a 7.7, not as strong as some of the others gave it. Maybe because I grade it a little harder because I'm such a fan of Power Man and Iron Fist that I have high expectations. Now this next one is controversial. Okay, hear me out on this, and this is Shazam number 20. They gave it, the League of Comics Geeks, a 2.9, mostly negative with 79 ratings. I gave it a 6, so we're pretty darn close on that one. Now, before you get all mad, let me go over the writers and all this information and why, then we can have a discussion about it if you'd like. The writer is Sienna Grace, the penciler is Dan McCade. Anyway, we have a special guest writer in this issue, because it's a one-off story, so this is just a one-off, which is already usually tells you it's a waste, it's waiting maybe to the new team, whatever. Jonathan Kent, son of Superman, is in Philly when something funny happens to the Rock of Eternity. John is caught in the lightning and transforms back into a little boy. Yeah, when John gets a second chance at childhood, Billy better figure out how to get the grown super son back before the world misses him. Now, this is a couple things there. I'm going to read some of the stuff from League of Comics Geeks comments there here in this one as well.
But in my opinion, one of the reasons this hits hard, and by the way, there was a really couple good alternate covers to this one. This is a reminder that DC screwed up with aging up Superboy. It's a major letdown. It lets us once again know what we could have had if they weren't so gangbusters on aging him up for DEI purposes. That's my view. They aged him up to change his sexual orientation to create more of that stuff. There was no need to that. And you just make more gay characters. Who cares? And we didn't care if Jonathan as a young boy was gay. But aging him up, I think, is where mainly we were pissed. Now, granted, crappy writing doesn't help either. So this is a one-shot contained story. So it really, the thing is it didn't pertain much to Shazam either. Mediocre art. It really, once again, shows that DC cares more about DEI than making money. This book just seems to show also, and this is probably one of the bigger skews here. Now, hear me out. This series tends to skew towards a younger audience. That's the way it seems to be written. More of an old school, traditional, more tongue-in-cheek, corny comic book. But yet this issue has a lot more adult themes in it, which I think sort of misses the mark. So let's go to some of the League of Comic Geeks information and see what they say. Well, let's see. It was really critical in my discussion post, so I figured I'd do a reread. This time more than skimming the book. Well, yeah, I think you should have done it before grading it, and maybe that'd soften it up. But it did not. This starts off strong, but then terrible art becomes harder to ignore. Oh, yep, I agree with that. Not very good art. Words like, my boyfriend got group therapy and trauma counseling tumble out of 11-year-old John's mouth, and you get hit with a tidal wave of, wow, this was a long one. Yeah. And you know what? That's a good point. I'm stopping there. Yeah, coming out of that's out of 11-year-old. It just seems overly melodramatic, right? And the person mentions, tumble out of the 11-year-old John's mouth, and you get hit with the tidal wave of what have we done? As a massive change in John Kent over the past 4 years becomes grievously apparent. And I think they've got a point, right? Or, yeah, and then they have that one scene where it's been a while since my mom's kissed my forehead. Well, you're not a little boy anymore. Moms don't usually kiss the forehead of a 20-something-year-old boy as much anymore. Now, granted, I hope to do that with my kids, but I don't know if a boy's going to want that, right? It's just a lot of misses here. I just don't get it. Let's look at some other people's comments here. This is not Billy's comic. This has very little reason. The screen just jumped on me. Sorry about that. This has very little reason being a numbered issue of Shazam. I think that's a good point. It's trying to maybe sell another character. A rather quick read, a lark involving a young but still adult John, along with Billy, who started his career at the same time when John's father founded the Justice League in the present continuity, but is still somehow younger than John. They're bringing up some good points. Oh, you were all a bunch of haters. This was fun. This was camp. So see, a different type of view. That person gave the book 5 stars. Let's get one that conversely looks at that with a 1-star review. Another piss-poor attempt to bait fans of John to buy the issue only to hate on the fans once again by proving John being older is better. Oh, that's I think a really good point that they have there. I think they keep trying to shove that into us there. They have to do it by writing everyone disgustingly out of character again, and every single argument makes no sense for it. And just like with Absolute Power, Super Son, it was clear the writer never read a past comic with John before. Neither in John's character, his powers, his views on life are being a hero, as well as how Damian sees the whole situation is written accurately. Damian would absolutely not react this way as well, but just like Bendis did in Superman number 18, he's being used as a mouthpiece to share DC's agenda. So as you see here, some people think, hey, people are just overdoing it. Some people are saying, no, this book is being used as a mouthpiece for an agenda. Let's look at a couple more and then we'll move on to the next book. LMAO. Did they literally put Damian in here to say nobody wants this? I mean, wow. This is basically a huge middle finger to anyone who prefers John as a kid. It's kind of hilarious. Let's see if I can find a higher review one that's not complaining. There we go. That way it balances it out a little bit. A nice fun break from how mid this Shazam run has been. Those are my sons. Okay, interesting. I'll give one more, but on the opposite side. Well, I have been enjoying this run. This issue just kind of trash, though. give the last issue 5 stars, but this one's going to get a half a star. Woo! Wow, a lot of negativity there, a little bit of positivity. I try to give a little balance, and to be honest with you, I really had to scroll through to find much positivity. People weren't liking that one. Well, I don't know your thoughts on that one. All right, moving on. Batman issue, can't speak, 157. 3.7 rating with 326 ratings on League of Comics Geeks. Well, I gave it a 7. I didn't give it as high of a score. Anyway, we have the creators, writer Chip Zdarsky, artist Tony S. Daniel, and George Jimenez. With the Core of Owl's plan revealed in the City in Chaos, Batman must find the strength to fight a war on multiple fronts and save Gotham from disaster. The fates of Jim Gordon, the Riddler, and all of Gotham's rest in the hands of the Dark Knight in a climactic issue so big it takes 2 superstar artists to bring it to life. Okay, as I said, I gave this book a 7, not near as high as they did, but okay. Well, anyway, how many of Batman's tools are made of metal or some kind of alloy? Just curious there. I would assume a lot. Yet in this book, he mentions he hates the feeling of metal in his hands. I mean, really? I mean, that's lame. Batman's had metal in his hands many times. I think he's had a lot more than limp flesh in there, if you know what I'm talking about. Well, anyway, this is the end of the story arc. It's decent art, but really nothing majorly climactic there. I think it's time for a new story arc. Hopefully the new direction will be better. Batman, I think, has been suffering a bit of a decline lately and needs something to step it back up.
Hey guys, today's video is sponsored by My Wallet. Yeah, I'm not trying to push any kind of wallet or pimp any wallet out. What I mean is it's sponsored by my personal wallet and the cash that comes out of it to pay for these things. If you want to help with this, you can hit like, subscribe, that notification bell. Those are great ways to get started. But if you find yourself in a position where you can help the channel more, we have a Patreon and a subscribe star down below that you can click on those links. And for as little as $1 a month, you'll have special videos and things to just you, music that you can get. Or maybe if you wanted to, a one-time donation just to help out, we have a Streamlabs link down below. Or we also have, if you go to the Patreon shop, you could buy a song for like $3. I wish I could put them a little lower, but that's the minimum they allow for that. So there's lots of options. Sometimes you might even see an Amazon link. If you want to buy anything through Amazon, click on my link first, then go through there. That'll give me a couple pennies possibly that way too as well. So there's lots of ways you can help out the channel, because without you, it would not be possible. So thank you everybody. And let's get back to the video.
But hey, your thoughts, let me know. Next one I want to talk about is Birds of Prey, number 18. Yep, number 18, where League of Comics Geeks said 4.0 score with 138 ratings, very positive, and I gave the book a 7. So not negative, but not great either. Writer's Kelly Thompson, artist is Juan Campbell. I will say the cover, the standard cover, was very good, and his book has got some good alternate covers. Lately, the series has suffered, I think, from covers that aren't very captivating, wheel you, and I think this one was much better. When Oracle intercepts chatter about Sin from the Ninja Clan, long bent on acquiring her, Dinah, Sin, and Mira decide to set a trap instead of waiting for an ambush. Meanwhile, Constantine reaches out to Oracle for a last-minute help moving a tricky demon across the dimensional plane. But Oracle only has the skeleton crew of Big Barda and Cass Kane on hand. Yeah. They might not be the best fit for this mission, considering they're not exactly mystical type of people, are they? It's a new storyline here, and if anything you learn from this issue is definitely don't mess with Barda, especially if you're playing video games. Maybe, you give her the B controller. You know what I'm talking about? Like when you were kids, if you had your good controller, and if anybody comes to visit, they have to use the aftermarket controller that's not as good. Give that one to Barda. If you read this issue, you know why I'm saying that. Decent art in this issue too, but it is a little bit of a slow setup for the story. So I think it earned a 7. Nothing super. Here are my notes here. So let's jump to another issue, shall we? This is a series I've been pretty much... Oh, I just smacked my mic. Hope that didn't show up. I didn't pick up on there. It's a series I've been enjoying, and that's the JSA. It's something just a little different. 3.8 rating with 213 people rating it, mostly positive on League of Comics Geeks, and I gave the book a 7.2, so not bad there. The writer is Jeff Lemire and artist Joey Vasquez. Sorry, dude, I butchered your name. Into the clutches of the Injustice Society. Yep. We got a lot of them. All the heroes are separated, taken apart. We got problems there. What's keeping King Thunder in his coma? Well, we're going to find out, right? And who else is going to wake up? Who else is going to get break free? Can anybody break free from being captured by the Injustice Society? I think it's good art in this issue. Decent story. There's a little bit more story progression here as well. And it really does seem like the team is in big trouble. If you like some more classic type of style characters, not saying these are classic characters, but more in style, a little bit more tongue-in-cheek, a little bit more cheeky writing, which I think this one fits. This one might be for you. As I said, I gave it a 7.2. Not as good as what I was hoping for, but far from bad. Speaking of which, well, not everything can be good. I was having a lot of hopes for Spirits of Vengeance. So let's talk about Spirits of Vengeance number 6. League of Comics Geeks gave it a 3.3 rating based on 35 ratings. So the book, I think, has lost a lot of readership. And honestly, I can see why. When you keep doing these short arc stories, they can't be mid. They have to be really good. And I think that's a problem with this. We have the writers of this. We have the Lauren Amaro, she's associate editor. Okay. I read an editor instead of the writer. Sabir Pirazda is the writer. Sean Damian Hill is the penciler. Joey Lewis, or I can't say it. There's a few pencilers here. Sorry. Check them out yourself if you're interested. I can't seem to name them and read them properly. Anyway, we have Burning Love as Johnny Blaze reels from one mind-bending discovery after another. The Ghost Rider has unfinished business. His old flame, Witch Woman, would like a word. Or actually, it's going to tell them a bit more as the sparks fly. Well, anyway, the cover art is okay. There's an alternate cover that's okay. And that's the whole thing. This whole issue is mediocre art at best. And to be honest, some of the panels are really bad on top of that. If you are a Robbie Reyes fan, though, you might be happy because you get to see that character again here and get a little bit more information of what's going on with him because he's been a little absent from the Marvel Universe. Also, we get Loki in this book, which he's not so happy to see Robbie. Anyway, we got Danny Ketch's sister. It's found out that she is the host of the Spirit of Violence. Yep, Spirit of Violence. And here's the thing. They're relaunching the series now with Spirits of Violence next. So Spirits of Vengeance, the Spirits of Violence. And this is an issue I think that they have. I get it why they do that. Right? New number ones give a new chance to bring in new readers, new story arc, and I get that, especially when the people buying it are dwindling down. But this is a series that it seems like with Ghost Rider they keep doing that. Here's a few issues, we're relaunching. So if you are a fan, it becomes very hard to follow. Right? Did I miss one? Which series am I on? What's the order these go into? In the long run, I think it does more harm than good. But that's my thoughts. What is your thoughts on those constant rebootings after enough to fill a trade? Like 6 issues. Oh, we got enough for a trade. We're going to relaunch the series with a new title again. What are your thoughts on that? And we're going to finish it off on this one, okay? Because a character that loves to steal things and maybe even your heart. And that's The Avengers issue number 23 with a 4.0 score. Yeah, out of 185 ratings. So they gave it a very positive one. I gave it a 7.1. So once again, not as high as them. That's sort of sad because I'm a Black Cat fan. The writer is Jed McKay and artist is Farad Karmari, which once again, if I butcher that is not any mean intent. Once a thief, always a thief. The Avengers never should have trusted Felicia. I disagree. Can they stop Black Cat from escaping the space casino with Kang's stolen intel? To do so, they'll have to get past Black Cat's newest bodyguards. Avengers, get ready for your first clash with Gatecrasher and the I can't personate. But I will say these characters they bring in to be the Muscle are pretty lame. Okay, I think they could have done better with that one. Anyway, we find out why the Black Cat was hired or why she accepted this job to steal the Elder of the Universe. And I think that was a nice little part there. And what that is I'm going to give it away a little bit. It gives her the opportunity to do a heist with her father. And if you know anything, her father is no longer around. So this sort of gives her an opportunity not only to see her father again, but to do something with him. So I think that was neat. And Iron Man has an embarrassing moment in here because you find out, really in his back head, he wants to be like Captain America, which might say is embarrassing, but he says it's embarrassing. And I can see why, maybe the whole Civil War thing and the clashes that they have, but really, you could find a lot worse people to idolize than Captain America, right? Decent art, decent story, though I do think we could have got more. I mean, I appreciate what they did with Felicia there. It just seemed a little, hokey. They think that you should use better muscle maybe a better fight amongst them, I think would have been a little better there. That's my thought on this Avengers, but it's Avengers, so I tend to rate pretty hard on Avengers because I'm a fanboy and Avengers really in general. So not the best team of Avengers either in my opinion, but that's my opinion, not yours. So please let me know in the chat yours. Thanks for participating if you did there. Like, subscribe, all that stuff if you don't mind. A lot of people hit this with a thumbs down because I said something controversial. Hey, you know what? Thank you too, because you help support the channel. Thank you everybody for your time. And you know what? Let's try to be nice to each other. As I said before, we're not going to agree on everything, but we don't have to hate each other, right? We can appreciate that, hey, we probably like more than we dislike, and appreciate each other's views, even if we do not agree. All right, everybody, thank you for your time, and until next time, keep it frugal.